Joining me via Zoom is the president of the Hospice Society on the Border, which is a local group that's looking to strengthen local health care with plans for an end-of-life hospice in Lloydminster. Before we get started, though, to Mr. Glendot, I'll say thank you very much for doing this and welcome to the show.
I'm very pleased to be here. It's always good to be able to share.
So to open things up, since there is a lot to cover, would you mind just kind of providing a basic overview of all that your society is proposing here, as well as where progress currently stands?
Very quickly, what we are doing is we're envisioning a 10-bed hospice, a residential style hospice that would take care of end-of-life needs. Our plan would be to have it funded in terms of the operational side by the governments so that equal access to every person was available. We intend on raising the capital for the building and the facilities locally. And we have done quite a little bit of work on that already in terms of the primary needs. So that's kind of where we are initially. We're waiting currently for approval by Saskatchewan. It would be a Saskatchewan sort of umbrella facility because that's the way the hospital works, and that's the way a number of things work in Lloydminster. If we're successful in getting confirmed funding, then the Saskatchewan Health Ministry will negotiate with the Alberta Ministry, and therefore we will end up with the funding. So our funding proposal currently is sitting with the government of Saskatchewan, and we look forward, we have been promised by the Ministry of Health for an opportunity to look at it this budget cycle. And of course, they have to plan for the years. We think our build time is approximately 3.5 years. And so somewhere around there, we may get it down as depending on how we've got quite a lot of things in place. So our shortest time would be about 30 months. And we think that somewhere in that 30 to 36 months, we could actually have it close to operational. So we're ambitious. We have been together for more than 2 full years of actually working on the project directly. Prior to that, there were other individuals, part of our group though, that had looked back on it as far as 4 years ago. So.
So my next question here, I think, is really important in painting the bigger picture in regard to the plans for this project. So for people who are terminally ill and maybe in their last days, what kind of support options do they currently have in Lloydminster?
Well, the reality would be if they're, depending on how ill they are or don't have any facilities, there would be the hospital, and it would have so many beds available. And my understanding is they exceed the number of beds that are assigned to that specific end of life situation. So they're often at 6 or so beds. Then there is home care if you want to stay in your home. Provided the medical requirements are simple, that could be an option. I don't know that there's any other good options around other than those two. Of course, if you happen to be a senior that is in an extended care facility already, some of those nursing homes, etc., some of those, of course, could accommodate that because of staff on and doctor availability. All depends kind of where the person is and what the medical situation is.
And just to add on top of that last question, I know you actually have some personal experience when it comes to making decisions and dealing with end-of-life healthcare options in Lloydminster. So would you mind maybe speaking to your personal experience?
Yes, well, just using my own situation, as my father got near the situation, he was dealing with a terminal disease. And so, the hospital would likely be the place you would have liked to have been. He did not want to be in the hospital. Of course, he's lived his life with as much freedom as possible, and he did not want to be in a hospital bed. And That created a bit of a rift in the family because some really wanted him to be there with the best medical care there could be. Others wanted him to have the peace and exactly what he wanted to do. And so if there had been that third alternative as a residential hospice, I think we could have met those needs together, and it would have been easier on the family and probably fairly acceptable to him as well. So we have heard these similar kinds of stories from a number of access, ability, the amount of family that you may want around, which isn't conducive in hospital environments. So to create a good end of life story for the family and the patient is what the residential hospice would try to do.
Once again, thanks for doing this, Glenn, and I look forward to updates on the future state of this hospice.
You're welcome.